What's up, everybody? Matt Kajeski here, back again with the Stochastic Fantasy Football YouTube channel. And today we're going to be talking some best ball, going through some RB busts. Yes, RB's most important position in fantasy. They're the position that wins you your leagues, loses you your leagues. And today we'll be talking about a few to potentially avoid. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. And for the purposes of this video, we will be referencing Underdog Fantasy for their ADP. They have a phenomenal deal for you guys right now where you can double your first deposit up to $100. Excuse me, still getting over a cold. And you can do that by using the promo code Stochastic or just clicking the link in the video description below. And it's not just that. When you do that, they're going to give you our best ball and fantasy football package for free. That's normally a $39.95 package, and you're getting that with your sign up. And that has rankings for Underdog, Drafters, DraftKings, Optimizers, you name it. We have it for you guys. And that $100, it's good for 4 entries into Best Ball Mania 4. That has millions of dollars up top. You can use that on the Pick'em contest if you're not in a legal state. There's a ton you can do over at Underdog, so make sure to check them out. If you're concerned with your play, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. We're going to dive into a few guys that have some bust potential here according to our rankings. And the first one is David Montgomery. So he switched teams this offseason, goes from Chicago up to Detroit, RB 24, which is particularly interesting considering you can get his teammate, Jahmyr Gibbs, as RB 13. So right away, you have 2 running backs on the same team that are coming in with ADPs inside the top 24. This is the only team where you're going to find both RBs inside the top 24. And you're going to find Montgomery coming off the board just ahead of Rachaad White, James Conner, Isaiah Pacheco, ADP of 78.8. So this is a pretty significant amount you need to spend on David Montgomery. And what is the upside with him? First of all, not often do we see these offenses actually put up 2 top 24 RBs. The only team that actually did that last year was Detroit, funny enough. But if you dive into that, you're going to find some funny metrics. And a lot of that just comes from Jamal Williams scoring 17 touchdowns on the ground. Now, Williams finishes the RB8. Swift was the RB22 in half-point PPR. So this can be done, but it's not easy. And then you look at the profile of these 2 players. Montgomery was actually pretty good last year. He signed a $18 million contract, 3 years. Detroit can get out of it after 2, so there's a little bit of nuance to that. But he's been decent when he's on the field. With that said, the Lions spent the 12th overall pick on Jahmyr Gibbs. That suggests a heavy workload for him. And no, it's not going to be, like a Saquon Barkley workload because Jahmyr Gibbs is 200 pounds. But with that said, right now, David Montgomery is basically being ranked as if he's going to score the 17 touchdowns that Jamal Williams got last year. And there's a lot of ways this could go wrong. First of all, Detroit could maybe be a little worse than we think. I'm not personally optimistic that that's the case. They have a 9.5 win total. There's 120 juice on the over there. So this is going to be a good team. But maybe they throw a little more in the red zone. Maybe you have Jahmyr Gibbs take on some of that work. Again, we're talking about the 12th overall pick. This isn't DeAndre Swift, who was clearly on the outs in Detroit last year. Our rankings currently have Gibbs as RB16, Montgomery as RB32, and I'm much more likely to draft Gibbs at his ADP because of the upside he has within his profile, whereas David Montgomery is probably going to need an injury to Gibbs in order to hit that ceiling. And again, a lot of it's going to have to come through touchdowns. Second RB will go to, going a little higher on the draft board. We're bouncing all over the place today. Kenneth Walker in Seattle. There's basically an opportunity cost argument here that I'm going to make. I actually think Kenneth Walker is a good player, but you have some of the same situational problems in Seattle that we're seeing in Detroit. For as good as Kenneth Walker was last year, Seattle felt the need to go out and spend a 2nd-round pick on Zach Charbonnet, and a pretty decent one at that. Now, Pete Carroll's done crazy things like this before. He's not played 1st-round running backs, so we'll see how this running back shakes out. But all this to say, Kenneth Walker comes off the board at 52.6. He's RB16. He's ahead of Aaron Jones. He's ahead of J.K. Dobbins. He's ahead of Alexander Madison. And there's risk here. I mean, you look at what Kenneth Walker did. It was great. Over 1,000 yards rushing, but he's still not the best pass catcher. This is a guy that caught 27 passes, 165 yards. That's great. He did have a number of drops in there, which is concerning considering Charbonnet definitely excelled as a pass catcher. You look at Charbonnet's profile, he can handle every down work if Seattle wants to use him that way. 6 feet, 214 pounds, 4.53 40-yard dash, over 1,300 yards rushing on 195 carries, caught 37 balls, efficiency numbers that actually rivaled Walker the year prior. This is a good running back they have. So my questions really are, how does this backfield split up? We have an 8.5 win total. Seattle actually passed the ball 13th most in the NFL last year, so this is not the run-heavy team of old. I'm a little concerned with Walker's overall workload. And again, he could come right out and see this. I'm not saying he won't. All I'm saying is there is risk here. Whereas players like Aaron Jones, J.K. Dobbs, and Alexander Mattison behind him don't exactly have the same risk. So in a one-for-one situation, I'm drafting most of those players over Kenneth Walker right now. And that's evidence in our current rankings where we have Walker as RB18 and Charbonnet as RB41, just with the risk that that backfield does have. Again, you're probably looking at an injury for one of these players to truly hit their ceiling unless Charbonnet flames out. Last one here, we're going to head over to Green Bay where we have A.J. Dillon as RB34. That's where he is an underdog, ADP of 102.2. He's been falling a little bit, and he's falling closer to our rankings, but I think this is still a little bit optimistic for him. He played poorly last year, caught 28 of 43 targets, had 5 drops, and you look at points per game, right away stands out like a sore thumb. Dillon lagged back all the way at RB36, while Aaron Jones came in as RB9 in half-point PPR. When you look at the rushing efficiency, he managed 770 yards and 7 touchdowns, but he struggled efficiency-wise. 2.90 yards after contact was 26th among 46 qualifiers. 23 missed tackles, that was 35th among 46 qualifiers. Those are really bad numbers considering A.J. Dillon weighs 250 pounds. You know, like backs that, some backs that have 40 pounds or that are 40 pounds below him are averaging, you know, like more yards after contact than Dillon. So that's a little bit rough to see here. And then from an offense as a whole, you lose Aaron Rodgers. The win total here drops to 7.5. That means you're probably going to be trailing a little bit more. What does trailing mean? It means Aaron Jones is on the field over A.J. Dillon. It means less touchdowns for A.J. Dillon, which largely drove him to that RB36 finish in points per game last year. Right now, he's coming off the board RB34. We have him as RB35. So again, it's getting closer to maybe his appropriate ADP, but we're still behind on him right now. And maybe we'll see this lag where he becomes a value. But right now, he is a severe bust candidate in Green Bay. Let me know what you think of these running backs. If you agree with me that these are candidates to be busts, again, busts relative to their ADP. I think Walker is a good player, but I would rather have some of the guys behind him. Don't think he's going to play poorly by any means. Think maybe some of those guys can outperform him. Anyway, you can find me on Twitter at Matt_Gajeski. Hit the thumbs up button on the way out, and we will be back later this week and all throughout next week talking best ball and throughout all the summer. Check out Underdog, and until next time, good luck, everyone. We'll see you later.